If you don't want to waste your time pissing off the locals in New Zealand, then this video is for you. I've spent the last 10 years traveling across New Zealand, and despite growing up here, I've made my fair share of mistakes. I want to share all of these with you so you don't have to make the same mistakes, including the biggest one, which copped me a $200 fine. I promise you that if you even follow 80% of these tips, then your trip to New Zealand is guaranteed to be incredible. Depending on your passport, you can get an NZeTA instead of a visa. Now, this is essentially a waiver that's valid for 2 years and allows you to visit the country for up to 3 months at a time, or if you're from the UK, up to 6 months at a time. Now, a pro tip from me is that you're going to want to request your NZeTA in the official app. It saves you $6, and it also means that you'll get approved within a few hours usually, but make sure that you apply at least a few months in advance so that everything is all approved and ready to go when you come to do your trip to New Zealand. Now, when you're swiping your card at all the different retailers in New Zealand, make sure you do not pay in your home currency. When you get that little pop-up on the EFTPOS machine, you want to make sure that you select New Zealand dollars. This will save you a huge amount in ridiculous conversion fees, as you'll just be paying for the conversion fee set by your bank. Now, a few things about driving New Zealand, because if you're visiting, you're likely going to be renting a car and driving around the country. First of all, New Zealand drives on the left, like most Commonwealth countries, so just prepare your brain for that. It's easier than you think. Secondly, we have a lot of one-lane bridges in New Zealand, so you're going to want to make sure that you're familiar with these. Basically, there'll be a sign at the start of every bridge which tells you who gives way. If you're on the white arrow, you can go. If you're on the red arrow, wait for the other person to cross first. And thirdly, a lot of our roads are extremely windy and steep, so just be prepared for that. Make sure you take it slow, plan extra time in your trip itinerary for travel, and don't trust Google Maps. One thing you should definitely be worried about is biosecurity. New Zealand is extremely strict about biosecurity compared to other countries because we're an island nation and we have a bunch of vulnerable wildlife that we're trying to protect. So make sure you go through word by word everything it says on your arrival card and declare everything you have. Hiking boots, outdoor gear, all that stuff, you need to declare it. This way, even if you do break the rules, you won't be slapped with that $400 fine because you were honest and declared it. And another tip from me, you can also fill out your declaration online so that you can go through the queues faster when you arrive in New Zealand. Now, if you have any plans to take a domestic flight while you're here, make sure that you pick a window seat. Especially if you're flying over the South Island, the views are jaw-dropping and you can save yourself a ton of money on scenic flights by just paying an extra $10 to sit against the window. There's a couple of apps that I consider to be essential for anyone that's road tripping around New Zealand. Now, the first one is CamperMate, which shows you where all the freedom camping sites are, as well as the paid sites that you can stay at, and even the dump stations where, you know, you can dump the good stuff. Now, the other one you're going to want to have is Gaspy. New Zealand petrol prices vary considerably depending on what town and what area you're going through, so make sure that you download this app and check the prices along the route that you're going to be traveling in advance, because sometimes this can save you up to 20 cents per litre or more. Now, it doesn't matter what time of year you're coming to New Zealand, pack for all seasons. You're going to experience sun, rain, hail, maybe even snow, no matter what time of the year that you're here. So make sure you pack the right gear to keep yourself warm, protect you from the sun, just prepare for any eventuality. Now, another tip, especially if you're camper vanning and staying in a lot of freedom camping spots, is to utilize libraries and iSites. Both of these places will usually have free Wi-Fi, which can let you get shit done while you're on the road. But libraries especially are a great place to just relax for a few hours and plug in and charge your laptop or your phone or whatever, and just spend some time to review your itinerary and keep planning your trip. Now, I touched on this before, but I'm making it its own thing because it's super important. You have to make sure that you underestimate distances on purpose. Do not trust Google Maps. Build in a bit of extra time around your travels to make sure that you account for the road conditions, any closures, whether you want to stop and take some photos, you name it. There's going to be a bunch of reasons why your trip is actually going to take a bit longer than what the map says, so make sure that you just plan for that. Now, one thing that you're going to want to sort months in advance is your rental car, especially if you're after a camper van, because these things book out well in advance. If you're planning a summer trip, the demand over the busy period just wipes out the stock of most rental car companies. All you gotta do is make sure that you've booked this in advance, and a lot of the time you don't even have to pay the full fare until you arrive in the country, so it's worth getting that sorted as soon as you can. Now, the other thing you're gonna wanna do to save money on fuel while you're in New Zealand is to collect those dockets that you get with your receipts at the major supermarkets. Basically, they'll shave a few cents a litre off at their respective petrol stations, and you'll be able to save a little bit of money. You do want to rent a car when you're visiting New Zealand. Unfortunately, our public transport is either non-existent or just shit. The best things to do and places to see are often really spread out and really hard to get to without a car. And there's so many fantastic roads you can drive along at your own pace, and if you don't have your own car, then you can't really do this. But if you are car free, either you don't know how to drive or this is just how you want to experience the country, then there are options for you. There are a few Scenic rail options that are operated by Kiwi Rail, but these are really expensive because they're mainly a tourist experience. And other than that, we don't really have intercity rail in New Zealand aside from a few lines here and there. We do, however, have an intercity bus company. Yes, it's also called InterCity. That honestly is not that great, but it offers a FlexiPass, which allows you to basically hop on and hop off buses for a set rate. And some fares even include a ticket on the ferry across the Cook Strait, which is between the North and South Island. So if you're not renting a car, you can still get around the country and see most of the amazing things that there are to see. It'll just be a little bit harder and require a bit more forward planning on your part. This is one you definitely want to avoid. Do not just camp on the side of the road wherever you see fit. Make sure you look for this freedom camping sign wherever you go. And like I said, if you use CamperMate, you'll be able to find all the freedom camping spots, so this shouldn't be an issue. But if you are caught either camping in a non-self-contained vehicle or camping in an area that's prohibited, then the fines are pretty hefty. Now, I can't stress this enough, familiarize yourself with a few Te Reo Māori words before you come. A lot of New Zealanders, whether they're Pākehā or Māori, will greet each other saying kia ora or morena. So these are some great words to just have in your vocabulary. Another thing is to just have the basic pronunciation down pat, because you're going to want to be able to pronounce the place names correctly. This is so that you can be respectful, but also some places people won't know what you're talking about if you don't know how to say them properly. So just make sure you educate yourself a little bit before you come. Just spend a couple of hours learning the pronunciation. I promise you, it's not that hard. It's mainly just the vowels, and you don't need to be perfect. So just give it a go. Now, this one is essential. You need to understand the meaning of yena. It's a polite way of saying no. That's it. That's all there is to it. Also, if you hear people saying not bad, it's not because they're a little bit glum or moody. They genuinely mean that something's good. Kiwis are famously indirect, and they're pretty subdued and passive. It's not uncommon for a Kiwi to have a bad experience at the restaurant, tell the staff that the food was great, and then complain about it to everybody afterwards. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't speak up about things, but just pick and choose your battles carefully. In New Zealand, we don't wait for the bill. Either we pay for the food beforehand, or we get up at the end of our meal and go to the cashier and pay for it there. Because we have legs, we're not lazy, and we can walk 2 meters to pay a bill. On top of that, don't tip. Please don't tip. Just don't tip. Even if a place has a tip jar or says that you can tip, just don't tip. We don't want that culture here. We don't want it to become an expected thing. So just don't do it. Now, you're gonna see plenty of people in stores barefoot, even shirtless or in their pajamas. This is completely normal. New Zealanders are extremely casual, and we don't give a shit about what people think about us. Actually, I don't know if that's quite true, but when it comes to being seen in public in our pajamas, it seems to be the case. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to learn about Māori culture while you're in New Zealand. So there's going to be a few cultural things that you have to expect. One custom that's spread beyond Māori to all New Zealanders is to just never sit on tables or surfaces where you eat. Another is that it's also considered inappropriate to touch somebody's head because the head is considered sacred. There'll also be plenty of places when you're out and about hiking or just exploring the country that are considered wahi tapu. These are sacred places where you need to follow the rules, so just look out for the signs or do a bit of research before you go and just follow the directions of the local iwi. If you want to try a famous Kiwi pie, then you've got to be aware of the pie hierarchy. Basically, the best top tier pies are often found in local bakeries around town. The mid-tier pies are probably going to be from your gas stations, your petrol stations, and then the low-tier pies, they're going to come from your dairies and your Four Squares. So maybe avoid those ones. In fact, definitely avoid those ones. If you're finding New Zealand restaurants and bars to be extremely expensive, one way around this is to go to a restaurant that offers BYO. There's heaps of small family-owned restaurants that will allow you to bring a bottle of wine and just pay a $5 corkage fee, which basically means you're paying $5 per person. That way you can save a bit of money on your alcohol and have a good time still. When it comes to doing your groceries, make sure you avoid Countdown and New World as much as possible. These are our most expensive supermarkets, so you're going to want to look out for Pack and Save or Reduce to Clear stores. These are going to be your go-to for making sure that you're saving money on your groceries. Now, this doesn't mean avoid the other stores at all costs, because if you just need one or two things, then it's probably going to end up costing around about the same to go and grab them from any old supermarket. Now, the absolute best app or website for checking the weather in New Zealand is MetService. Make sure you use MetService because they have the most up-to-date and accurate information on the conditions around the country. Now, I have personal beef with these people. Keeping left is not just for the roads, okay? You need to keep left on our footpaths and our hiking trails. Please, please keep left, okay? I am just over it. Despite popular belief, the North Island is full of incredible places and experiences. And in my opinion, it's actually better than the South Island. That is controversial. But the North Island is full of stunning beaches and subtropical rainforests, as well as amazing geothermal areas and heaps of really, really cool waterfalls. The South Island is more defined by its dramatic alpine scenery, but in my opinion, it's pretty homogenous. Like, you're not really gonna get much else. Do not come for only 2 weeks.
Do not come. Do not come.
Okay, that's slightly dramatic, but you definitely want to plan for more than 2 weeks when you come to New Zealand. There's just so much to see and you can't do it justice in that amount of time. A good rule of thumb is an absolute minimum of 1 week in each island, plus a few extra days to relax while you're in the big cities. But honestly, I would say to plan for at least 2 weeks in each island to get the most out of it. Okay, so you might have heard that New Zealand doesn't have any bears or crocodiles or any of those other crazy things that can kill you over in Australia or America. But we have something much worse. Sandflies. I am not being dramatic here. These things will swarm you and suck your blood until you dry up like a prune. Okay, maybe that is a little bit dramatic, but you definitely want to make sure that you have insect repellent and plenty of it. These guys are an absolute menace, especially down in the South Island on the west coast and in areas where there's stagnant water or rivers. You definitely want to be prepared for that, guys. Something that pisses off locals and tourists alike is that even in New Zealand's biggest city, all the stores close way too early. You'll be hard pressed to find many retailers open after 6 p.m, and cafes and coffee shops often close at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In small towns, supermarkets are usually only open till 8 o'clock at night. It's wild. And it's even worse if you strike a public holiday because these shops just might be closed altogether. And the ones that stay open will have a surcharge, so yeah, watch out for that. Okay, finally, the last tip that I have for you guys.
Leave the wildlife alone.
Now, I'm sure you love New Zealand because you've seen all the amazing wildlife that we have, but be respectful of them. There are way too many people that try and get selfies with sea lions and harass the bird life by feeding them. Just please don't do this. Admire everything from a distance and you'll have a good time nonetheless. There you go, that's 31 tips that'll make sure that you can have an epic trip to New Zealand. So please smash the like button and subscribe to my channel if you want more tips like these. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.